This is the most notorious haunted house in the world. It is to be found in the sleepy seaside town of Amityville, an hour away from the hustle and bustle of New York City. 30 years ago, a truly horrifying crime was committed here, when 6 members of the DeFeo family were shot dead in a single night. Even now, the details of exactly how these brutal murders were carried out remain shrouded in mystery. 1 year later, the Lutz family moved in. They fled from the house, having lived there for only 28 days, claiming that they had been driven out by terrifying and unexplained supernatural forces. Their story was the subject of a media frenzy, turned them into celebrities, and became a worldwide bestseller, The Amityville Horror. It would spawn numerous books and films, including one that was released just this year. Mediums and psychic investigators have claimed there is a curse on the property. Others say that the Lutz's story is no more than a clever money-making scheme, built on the gruesome history of the house.
It is probably one of the most haunted homes in the world. It's certainly one of the most publicized haunted homes in the world.
Whatever happened, it was a confluence of events and personalities, and it meshed to form the perfect psychic storm.
It's just this web of lies, and the motivation was simple enough.
They produced a beautiful commercial scam. Their version is not a true story, but if they call it a true story, you know, how could you say that they're liars?
There were too many things that had happened and were going on to sit there in denial that something wasn't right with this.
I guess the Amityville Horror really is supposed to be me, because I'm the one that got convicted of killing my family. I'm the one who said did it. I'm the one that's supposed to be possessed by the devil.
What is the truth about the house in Amityville? And is there really a curse on all who live there? The mysteries and controversies surrounding the Amityville story begin with the horrific events that took place on the night of November 13th, 1974, when 6 members of the DeFeo family, mother, father, and 4 children, were shot to death inside this house.
I had an office in the front of my house, and I was sitting in the office, and my friend Al Saxon comes in, and he said, "Rufus, I got something to tell you. You're not going to believe this." He says, "Everybody next door is dead."
We saw several of the bodies being taken out. I'm sorry to say one of the children's bodies fell off the tarp they were carrying it in, and I saw one of the murdered children. It was ghastly, but pretty straightforward murder case, or at least that's what I thought at the time. It was just very eerie. It was very quiet, and just a chilling, frozen moment, the kind that you'd never forget. It's a picture that you keep in your head always.
Here you had so-called idyllic suburban family, Italian Catholic. The family had its own business, which was an auto dealership. And of course, with an Italian surname, there are the inevitable whispers about connections to organized crime.
A mob killing was quickly ruled out, and the police began to focus on the only surviving member of the family, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr.
George Harrison came, who was chief of detectives over in Suffolk County, and he said, "Can I use your house for a while for our headquarters?" Everybody in my neighborhood was scared to death that there's somebody loose in this town. From the beginning, Butch DeFeo, Ronnie DeFeo Jr., was suspected. He was originally not arrested. He was taken into protective custody.
They decided now they're going to take the Ireland's house, which was next door, and turn that into their command post. So they took us all over there.
Next thing I know, they had him in my house, and they were questioning him.
That went on for some time until his grandfather showed up. A police officer heard Ronnie's grandfather tell him, "You'll stop throwing the family name in the mud. I don't want to hear anything more about your sister. Just admit to the murders. It's over."
I told them in the beginning things that were true, but, you know, to get the pressure off of me.
Even before this, the Amityville locals had already made their minds up about who had slaughtered the family.
I walked around the neighborhood and I said, can you tell me anything more about what happened? And almost to the person, every kid said, Ronnie did it, Ronnie did it.
I was in my car. I believe the reporter was Joe Martin. Came on and said that the killings had happened. And they didn't say that Ronnie was dead with them. And I said to my wife that it was Ronnie.
Ronnie was, I'll put it this way, a wild teenager.
He had a reputation for using drugs, for violence, for fighting with his father.
He was a punk. All he did was drink, gamble, and fight. If you knew him, and you knew the situation, I guess, or you ever spent any time around him, it was not something that he was incapable of doing. And when everybody else is dead and he's not, you know.
There was a lot of problems, you know, and it's not that I could sit here and lie to you. I could say that I knew something bad was going to happen to my mother and father.
Within a short time afterwards, Ronald DeFeo Jr. was officially named the suspect. He was the alleged murderer. He was the accused.
After a short, sharp interrogation, DeFeo confessed to the crimes and gave the first of many versions of what happened.
The standard story is basically that Ronald DeFeo Jr., who was then 23 in 1974, woke up at approximately 3:15 a.m. and for reasons unknown, basically killed his entire family while they slept.
He took the rifle and shot both of his parents who were sleeping in the master bedroom. Then he shot his younger brothers, 2 of them. And then he went to an adjacent bedroom and shot his sister. And then he walked up to the 3rd floor bedroom and shot his other sister, Dawn.
After what happened, it was like a nightmare. I'm looking at my mother and father dead, my sister. I said, my God. I got scared. I ran out of the house, jumped in my car, ran down the street, got my friends, and came back to the house.
DeFeo's confession did not explain a number of puzzling mysteries about the killings. Mysteries that would prompt rumors of accomplices, conspiracies, or influence.
They were each shot with a .35 Marlin. We had an experiment conducted when we were preparing for trial, the noise level of the .35 Marlin. And that Marlin could be heard 4 to 5 blocks away from the house.
Nobody heard a thing. I did find, however, one of the neighbors who heard at about between 3 and 3:30 in the morning the family's dog barking. It was crying or baying.
With all the shots that took place, there were approximately 9 blasts from a Marlin. There was no evidence that any of the 6 victims had made any attempt to escape.
What was so odd is how you managed to shoot 6 people in the middle of the night in a quiet neighborhood without awakening any of the people. A shotgun blast is pretty loud. That doesn't make any sense.
One might argue maybe they were being held by another until Ronnie came around and did what he did.
I thought perhaps the bodies had been moved from their original spots. The autopsy reports show that no, they were not moved, that they were in the original places that they were when they were shot. There were no drugs found in the bloodstreams. And again, the victims are found lying face down in death stretch. There seems to be something almost systematic and very methodical about it that would seem to involve in more than just one person.
The curious anomalies of the crime scene would provide some eerie clues as to who or what had been responsible for the killings in Amityville.